So you got a green bean casserole package. What you should have received is a container of crispy fried onions. I'm preheating my oven, which we'll get to in a second. 2 cans of green beans. It doesn't matter what kind of cut they are. And then a can of cream of mushroom soup. So this is really easy to make, very much a Thanksgiving staple for many people. So we'll go ahead and get started. Let me just move my stuff over. Okay. So we preheated our oven to 350. So we're gonna combine this stuff in a dish, and then we're gonna put it in the oven to bake. So this calls for a 1.5 quart dish. I don't have one of those, so I'm using an 8x8 pan, which I think should be fine. So it's nice because we can just combine things in here. I sprayed a little bit with some oil just to make sure nothing sticks. So the first thing that we're gonna do is combine the milk. So we need 3/4 cup of milk. We need our can of cream of mushroom soup. So we're just going to add it just like this. With a lot of these condensed soups, normally you add water if you're putting it on the stove, but we're just adding this without adding water. Cream of mushroom soup is a great base for a lot of things. So it'll add a nice flavor to this green bean casserole. Just trying to get all of the soup out of the can. Okay, great. And then we need 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. So this is my black pepper. Alright. So I'm going to grab a spoon to mix this together instead of my spatula. Cream of mushroom soup off there. And we'll just mix this together until it's well incorporated. You could do this in a bowl first if you would rather. Up to you. Alright. So it looks pretty incorporated. The next thing we're gonna do is we need our green beans to be drained. Normally I just do this right over the sink, but so I don't have to move you. I've already taken the tops off of my cans, and so I'm just gonna pour the liquid that's in the can right into my measuring cup. We won't need it, but we did need to drain them. So we'll do that for both cans. Okay. So now we'll take the lids off. We'll pour the green beans right into our dish. And then we also are putting some of our French fried onions in there. So if you got one of these smaller packages, that's exactly what you need for this recipe. If you got a bigger package, right, just based on what we could find, you won't use the whole thing, so you will need to measure. Measure either way because you need to split it into 2. So it calls for 1/3 of a 1 and 1/3 cup, but you want to split that into 2/3 cup, because we're going to take half of it and put it in here right now, and then we're going to save half for the top after it's been baking. So we're going to combine all this together. So again, just stir until until it's well combined, well mixed. If you have, if you're making this another time, you can use fresh or frozen green beans. You might just need to cook them a little bit differently, right? Because the ones in the can are already cooked. So just be aware if you make it again. All right. So it seems pretty well mixed. It's as easy as that. So we're going to put it in our oven. That's at 350 for 30 minutes. And then we'll pull it out, put the rest of our French fried onions on there, bake it for a few more minutes, and then we'll be set. So let me just put this in the oven. You don't need to cover it or anything. We're going to set the timer for 30 minutes. And then we're all set for now. It'll seem like no time to you, but 30 minutes will have passed by. Okay, it's been 30 minutes on our green bean casserole, so we're going to pull it out of the oven. Let me just reposition it. So you can see it's got some nice browning on parts of it, but we're going to add the second half of our French fried onions. We're going to sprinkle them all over the top. Be careful if you try to touch it because it is hot. And then we're going to put it back in the oven for 5 more minutes. Reminder alarm. So we are going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And we'll see you in 1 second. Alright, it's been 5 minutes and our onions on top are looking golden brown, so we're able to take it out of the oven. And I will show you what it looks like. Might not be the best view, but it's all set. You might just want to let it cool for a couple of minutes before you serve it so it's not piping hot. You can always season it with a little bit more salt or pepper, depending on your preference. But it's all ready for you and your Thanksgiving meal. So you grabbed a stuffing kit. So what you should have had in your bag was a box of stuffing. We had a few different kinds, so it might vary your directions to what the one I'll be doing, but it should all be relatively similar. There was also a paper that was included about some ways to upgrade box stuffing if you were interested. Some of them were cheesy mushroom stuffing, bacon fig stuffing, brown butter herb, sausage and caramelized onion, or broccoli cheddar. So this is really easy. All you need for this one is 1.5 cups of water and a half of a stick of butter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 1.5 cups of water, which I've measured, and we're gonna pour it into our pot here. And then we have a half a stick of butter, so a 1/4 cup. We're just gonna do that. We're gonna turn it on, and we're gonna wait for it to boil. Once that happens, we'll stir in the packet that's in this box. We'll take it off the heat, we'll cover it, and we'll let it stand for 5 minutes. So super easy. There's also a way to do it in the microwave, so you can read the directions for that. Same ingredients, right? So 1.5 cups of water, half a stick of butter. You put it in the microwave covered for 5 to 6 minutes, and then you'll fluff it with a fork. Super easy, super tasty. You don't need to watch me watch water boil, so it'll seem like no time to you, but we'll add this when the water is ready. Alright, so our water is boiling and our butter is almost melted completely, which we would want as well. So we're going to open up this stuffing box, and so there should be a bag inside. So we're going to open the bag and we're going to stir the mix right on into the boiling water. Basically looks like a bag of croutons. So let me try to reposition you. We're gonna dump this right on in there. We're going to stir it. And then we're gonna turn the heat off. And we're going to cover it, and we're going to let it stand for 5 minutes. So I'm going to grab the lid that's right behind my camera. So we're just going to let that sit for 5 minutes. So I'll see you in 5 minutes. But it'll be like 3 seconds to you. Alright, our 5 minutes are up on letting the stuffing sit, not on heat, covered. So we're going to grab the pan. Let me grab a hot pad quick. We're gonna put it on our little island. And so we just need to take the lid off, fluff it with a fork. So just take your fork and go around. So basically, stuffing is dehydrated bread. And then you rehydrate it and it's got some spices. So let me pour some out into this container so you can see what it looks like. It smells very good. You could, like the insert that you had mentioned, you could put different herbs in there. You could make your own if you wanted to from bread. So, super easy. Your stuffing is ready for you to share. So you grabbed a mashed potatoes and gravy kit. So these mashed potatoes are really easy to make, super tasty. You'll want to make sure you look at each one, because there are a couple different kinds and a couple different brands that we were giving out. And so you want to make sure that it just calls for water. It might call for butter. Isn't always necessary. Just adds a little bit extra creaminess. So this one that I have calls for 2 cups of water. So I had measured 2 cups of water right here. So we're just going to pour it right into our pot. And then we're just going to boil it. And once we're done, once it's boiling, we'll add this packet right on in here. and we'll go from there. You don't need to watch me watch water boil. So just wait 1 sec. One thing that you'll want to do while your water is boiling for these mashed potatoes, you should have got a can of gravy, so there should be a few different kinds of gravy as well, so make sure you read the directions on the back, but this is already prepared, right? Sometimes there are packets where you need to add water and do it over the stove, so you can either microwave this covered for 1 minute and 45 seconds or until hot, or you can put it on the stove. So whatever you prefer based on how many pans, how much you want to clean, right? So make sure you warm up your gravy while your water is boiling. All right, our water is almost boiling for these potatoes. I just wanted to mention, right, and so you should have heated up your gravy too, whether that's on the stove or in the microwave. You don't have to put gravy on potatoes, right? If you wanted to put different things on potatoes, we had included some ideas of other toppings. So you could put sour cream, chives, broccoli, cheese, bacon, lots of good things. And there are lots of things that you can do with gravy too if you have some left over or if you don't want to eat them together. So some of the things that we had included were thickening soups, saucing up a hash, upgrading other leftovers, or making a pasta sauce with it. So lots of cool ways to reuse some of your leftovers. So our water is boiling. Again, with this package, we just have to add this straight to the boiling water. Just make sure on yours, if you need to add butter, you do, but it's not going to make or break. It is just going to make it a little bit more creamy. So we opened our packet. Let me reposition you. All right, so we're going to add these straight in. Or wait, we're going to turn it off, remove it from the heat. So we'll move to our little island, which will position you quick. And then we're gonna just dump the whole packet in the pot. And then we'll mix it around until it's evenly mixed. So again, sort of like if you watched the stuffing video, these are like dehydrated potatoes, and so we're rehydrating them. So we just need to make sure we get all of the little pouches of stuff from the mix. Alright, so we're going to let that sit for 1 minute, so I'm just going to set a quick timer. And then we will be able to serve it. So I had heated my gravy up in the microwave, and just by doing this, let me grab a little bowl, and we can just, it's pretty simple, but we can just show you how you would plate your mashed potatoes. And gravy is good if you are having a turkey. It's good over turkey. It could be good drizzled on your stuffing. Lots of different options with the gravy. You can also, I don't know if I had mentioned this before, you don't have to do these potatoes on the stovetop. You could easily do them in the microwave. So again, you would just need 2 cups of water, and you would microwave it on high for 4 to 5 minutes to get the water to a boil. And then similar to what we just did, right, add the packet in with the hot water, and then just let it sit for a minute. So that was our 1 minute timer, right? So super simple to just Scoop some mashed potatoes into a bowl or on your plate. Then you can make like a little well if you want to hold the gravy, just a little indent. Let me grab a spoon. And then you can easily just pour your gravy right on top. Super simple, super tasty. Yum. So you grabbed a pudding pie kit. You should have received a large box of pudding, either in chocolate or vanilla, and a crust that's already ready. This one is made of chocolate graham crackers, which will be delicious. There's a normal graham cracker one you might have, or you might have an Oreo crust. They'll all utilize the same purpose. So these are the two things that should have been in your bag, along with a recipe. So we'll work on making this. So what you're gonna need for sure is your box of mix, your pie crust, and 2.5 cups of cold milk. The recipe that we based it off of was on the back of the box, and it suggests 2%. If you make it with soy or almond milk, sometimes it sets a little bit differently, so just be aware of that. So what we're gonna do is we're going to pour our 2.5 cups of milk into this bowl. All right. And then we're going to take our pudding mix. We're going to open it. And we're going to pour it into the bowl with the milk, and we're going to whisk it while we add it in. If you don't have a whisk, you can easily use a fork. Sometimes the chocolate dust comes up at you. Alright, so we got all of the mix out of the bag, so we're just going to keep mixing it until it's well combined. So you want to try to get those little clumps out. So we're just going to mix it. For a few minutes until it looks relatively combined. Alright. So we'll set that right there. So this is the way our crust is. We're going to, it probably has this like piece of paper that you'll want to peel off. And there might be a little bit of glue from the paper. So you're just going to go around the edges and fold up the tin foil until you make it all the way around. Oops. So that you can pop out this. So you probably can't see, but there was a little bit of glue that was holding that paper. I'm just going to peel that off because we'll be using this. If we rotate it the other way, then it makes a perfect top for our pie. So there probably are some different recipes on the back of your paper. Feel free to try those out. These ones are a candy bar pie and a coconut meringue pie, both which sound good. So we're gonna take this off. Alright. So we've got our mixture. I see a few clumps, so I'm just gonna try to whip it a little bit more. What we're gonna do is pour, if you just have the milk, the pudding, and the crust, you can just go ahead and pour this straight in. I'm going to show you a variation, which we also had listed under like tips and tricks if you wanted to try it. So we're going to use some extra creamy whipped topping. So this is basically Cool Whip to make a 3-layer pie, so that's an option if you want, or you could just put this on top, or you can make your own whipped cream with heavy whipping cream and sugar, which we provided you with a recipe on the bottom of the sheet. I'm going to move this. So again, if you wanted to just make straight up pudding pie, like the recipe states, you just take this and pour it right in. We're going to pour about half of it in right now because we're going to try to make this 3-layer. Alright, that seems about half. So I'm just going to spread, sorry, it's not a good angle. Spread it so that it's sort of an even layer. And then we're going to take half of this 8-ounce tub. So I'm just going to try to like create a little line. We're going to take half of that, put it in with our pudding. And then we're going to mix that together. So this will have like a pudding layer, a pudding plus Cool Whip layer, and then just a Cool Whip layer. Alright. So you can potentially tell that it's a little bit lighter in color, except I didn't get fully on the bottom like I should have. So we're going to pour the rest of this on top of here. And then just spread it out. If you have a spatula, that works better than using this whisk to try to get it all out. And if you have a different kind of pudding, right, if you are making this a different time, you can use any kind of pudding that you want. So then we're going to take this remaining half of our Cool Whip and put it on top. You have to be a little bit careful when you spread this because the chocolate is easily going to try to come up. So we're just going to try to carefully spread out this last layer. And if you wanted to get fancy, you could crumble some cookies. I know we had Oreos in the pantry a few days ago. Crumble some Oreos, shave some chocolate, put some chocolate chips. I'm just going to leave mine the way it is. We're just going to smooth it out. And then we're done. You should let it chill for an hour just so that it sets. So we have our built-in lid. We're just gonna put it on top. And then we can easily fold the tin foil back over to close it. And then you're all set to go.